What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to check back in with OP-05 because I've got wonderful news about OP-05. Because a lot of people have been saying, what's happening to prices, when a price is going to start falling, etc., etc. And with a couple notable exceptions, and I'm sure you can all understand what they are and why they are, we'll get there in a minute, prices are starting to fall. It is becoming easier to pick up these singles of OP-05, and I'm not saying they're getting ridiculously cheap or anything like that, but I absolutely am saying that the prices are falling, and this is awesome. Speaking of OP-05, I'm going to be doing another box break on my Whatnot very soon, and if you use my code whatnot.com/invite/thewassy, you can get a £10 credit, and then you can use that to buy a couple of packs for like £2. And then you get packs very, 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 very cheap. And you get to support the channel, which, if you like what I do, is a fun thing. Plus, we're going to do giveaways, and we're going to be selling some promos, and it's going to be fun, all right? So, join Whatnot, use my code, and then we're going to have a stream soon. And it's going to be awesome. But what's happening with OP-05? Well, let's start off with the obvious exceptions. I'm sure it's not really going to surprise anyone here. We're talking basically about the mangas. Now, we got signed Luffy, which isn't really going up very much anymore, but does seem to have solidified around $2,000, about $2,000. Yes, that is very expensive. It's signed Luffy. At this stage, people have basically figured out that the pull rates for these are so low that I just don't think we're going to be getting this anytime soon any cheaper. For that, I'm sorry. And similarly, the mangas are about the same. Now, Luffy is sitting there at about a $3,200 card. And it's the last 3 sales on TCG Player. We got $2,200, $3,600, and $3,400. So I'm calling it $3,200, but that's obviously it's a very, very expensive card. And when you get cards this expensive, there does seem to be a bit of wiggle in terms of the price and where they all end up. And the other 2 manga cards are basically the same. They're no longer going up in price, but they're also not really going down in price very much. Trafalgar Law is creeping up, but really, look, the market price on TCG Player is showing at $1,000, but look at the last 3 solds, $850, $980, $940. It's not quite at $1,000 card, it's about a $900-ish card. It's settling down. It's hanging around at about a $1,000 card, and this makes sense. And we can say the same thing about Eustace Captain Kidd, which has always been the slightly cheaper of the 2. It's sitting in there at about an $850, $900 card. Not super cheap, but the cheapest of the manga rares. And it's fine, it's cool. It's not really going up very much. And yes, I know that it is creeping up there, as you can see. But honestly, even the sales are around about what we see from the market price, so really not creeping up all that much. Nominally, in the past month, it's gone up by like $10. Yeah. But the special rares, these ones are starting to come down. Let's take Nami as an example. Nami really peaked at $285, and I know it's showing as a market price of $260, but again, look at the recent solds. They're basically all sub $230. And I know $230 is a very, very expensive card. I understand that. But compared to $280, that's a significant drop. That is a significant drop. And that's kind of my point here. And we're going to show you a bunch of examples. We're going to see this across the board. My argument isn't that these cards are getting super cheap all of a sudden. Nah, mate. My point is they have peaked and they are on the way down and they are getting cheaper. And yeah, sure, there is definitely going to come a point where all of a sudden these cards get super expensive because OP-05 is completely out of stock and it can't be found anywhere. OP-05 is the newer set. I've told you this plenty of times. OP-05 is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's selling out because it's an amazing set. It's going to keep coming back for a little while. And one day it's going to go away. And when it goes away, yeah, that's going to suck. This card's going to get ridiculous. Right now, it's falling, and we see that across the board. We can see that Yamato here went as high as 160. It's now showing a market price of 125, but the last few solds are 115. So even the market price right now is looking too high. As a fun little side note, I pulled Yamato and I'm delighted about this. Nami, I actually pulled Nami for a viewer over on Whatnot. So somebody paid like 12 quid for a couple of packs and then got a Nami. So that was fun. I'm just saying you should definitely check out the Whatnot. This is not a sponsored video, incidentally. I'm just telling you I'm going to do a Whatnot stream soon and encouraging you to come along and join in. Point is, this Yamato is falling just like the Nami did. And it does seem to be a pretty straight down. This isn't a going up, going down malarkey. It peaked in mid-January, and for the last month, it's been going down steadily, and the recent sold show, it's still going down. Now, I will say Enel is not going down so starkly. Peaked at about 130. It's now showing as a market price of 122, but again, the recent solds are 115. So this is coming down. Now, the Enel is weirdly not coming down as fast as the others, which is a little bit weird to me. But I'll tell you this, it is still on the way down. Maybe it's because Enel is a very playable card. It's used as a rush card in Enel decks. So maybe that's it. Whereas the Nami and the Yamato really aren't seeing a huge amount of play right now. But honestly, this is still on the way down. It's just falling a little bit slower than the others. It's also worth noting that this peaked a lot lower than the others. So the higher they peak, the more room there is to fall. And the last one here, we've got Uta. Now, Uta peaked at about 155. It's currently showing of a market price of 118, but two of the last solds are under 110. And once again, and I'm only showing you these 4 special rares, not because I don't want to show you the others, but because the others are the cheaper ones. I'm showing you the 4 which are fairly significantly more expensive. The other 2 are quite a bit cheaper. So these are the 4 that are most worth looking at. And you'll notice all 4 of them are going down. The Nami, Yamato, and Uta are dropping quite dramatically. The Enel not quite so much, but it is absolutely going down. So what about the alternate art leaders, the manga head leaders? Well, I'll be honest with you, I showed you these were going down previously. There are 3 of them that are relevant, 3 of them that are playable, and I think they're the best ones to look at. But all of these are crashing. You know, the pre-sale on Sakazuki, right? That is a number 1 leader in the set. The pre-sale on Sakazuki was $200. And we all know that the pre-sale is way too high, right? So it almost immediately crashed to 130. As soon as the set comes out, it goes down to 130. And it's flicking around there a little bit. The lowest we saw was 115 around about New Year. It's now 110, but again, it's not 110. Look at the recent solds. 109, 106, 94. Yeah, this has turned into a sub-$100 card. Sakazuki is the best deck in the game right now. This is the manga head, the alternate art of Sakazuki leader, and yet it's a sub-$100 card. This is the best leader in the set. This is a very big deal, and yet it's sitting there as a sub-$100 card. How about Enel? I told you that was a very playable card that people were getting very excited about. Well, it started off as 150 pre-sale. Again, pre-sale can't be trusted. Halved in price down to 75, and it's been jumping up and down since. It's been as low as 75. It's been as high recently as 105. And look, it's a little odd. It's about a $100 card. 2 of the recent sales are 90 and 97. And then there's a $55, which is clearly a bit of an anomaly. Now, why is it an anomaly? I dug in, it's a Japanese version. So don't believe the 55, okay? The 55 is a Japanese version. And we all know that the Japanese versions are cheaper. And as a side note, if there's ever a card you really want, and you just really want the artwork, and you don't really care about the language, Japanese cards are the way to go. I generally collect Japanese more than English anyway, but just putting this out there, that if you really want these cards, a lot of them are like, a lot of the high-end cards are literally half the price in Japanese, so, you know, just thought I'd let you know. So the Enel, again, like the special rare Enel, it's not falling quite as fast as some of the others, but make no mistake about it, it's still a $90 card, it's still falling. just like Monkey the Luffy. This is the third leader in the set, and we are actually going in order of how playable they are, because Sakazuki's the best, then Enel, then Luffy. And you'll see there that, again, the pre-sale prices are way too high. We know this. People get too caught up in the fear of missing out, which we know is never going to happen. But, it's $180 on pre-sale. That's ridiculous. Falls down to 110 and then really just keeps falling. Brief resurgence to 120 in January, but it's now like an $85 card. The last solds are 80, 75, and 75. This is not a powerhouse card anymore. This is falling very nicely. It's still playable. It's still legit. It's still a very, very good card. No argument there. But it just so happens to be that all of these cards are falling, and that's my point in this video. We are not talking about a couple of cards have fallen and I'm trying to make it look like that's happening to the whole set. Nah, mate. It is happening to the whole set. The mangas are leveling off. Everything else is falling. And just to finish off with a couple of alternate art playable cards, we cannot look at every card in the set. Rebecca, phenomenal card. Blocker that gets you a card back from your trash and then lets you play a card for free. Seen a huge amount of play over in Sakazuki. Combos very nicely with the next card I'm going to show you. And once again, we can see that this is a very hyped card, which has been very expensive and is not holding on. Pre-sale 70, fell down to 45, went back up to 75 around about mid-January, and it's now a $45 card. Yes, I know 2 recent solds were there at 60, but the day before we saw free sales at 45, which I think is a little bit more telling. So yeah. And then we'll finish off looking at Rob Lucci, the other part of that really big combo, the alternate art Rob Lucci. It's a very cool card, but it follows the exact same pattern as Rebecca. The pre-sale is way too high, up at $70. It drops down almost instantly to 45, gets down to 40, jumps back up to 65 when people are worried that they're not going to be able to find it and it's seeing a huge amount of play and people are overpaying because they're just worried they're not going to be able to get it. And then, oh look, it's now down at a $45 card. And honestly, if you look at the recent solds, $45 is again a little bit too high. And this is my point. With the exception of the mangas, and even the mangas aren't jumping, they are just holding. With the exception of the mangas, and I am counting the sign card in that category, we are seeing that across the board, OP-05 prices are dropping quite dramatically. I'm not going to show you every single card in the set. That's going to take a huge amount of time, and it's not going to really give you any more information than I've just given you. As a whole, this set is falling very, very nicely, and I love this. I've been telling you guys all along that sooner or later, the cards are going to start falling in price, and they are. And when the manga head alternate art leaders, the playable alternate arts, the special rares, when all of them are falling, that tells you very good things about the set. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me which cards from OP-05 you've bought. Tell me if you overpaid or underpaid. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.